The morning sun peeked through the blinds as Maya opened her eyes. Today was the big day, the meeting that could change everything for her. After years of hard work at her law firm, she was finally up for partnership. All she needed to do was seal this deal in San Francisco, and her career would reach new heights. Maya had prepared for weeks. Her presentation was perfect. Her lucky blue suit was pressed and ready. She'd even booked her first-class ticket 3 months in advance, splurging a bit because she knew how important it was to arrive fresh and ready to impress. "You've got this," she told herself as she checked her suitcase one last time. Her roommate wished her luck as she headed out, calling a taxi to take her to JFK International Airport. Always the careful planner, Maya arrived at the airport 3 full hours before her flight. The departures hall was buzzing with travelers, but Maya felt calm. She had plenty of time, her documents were in order, and soon she'd be on her way to California. After checking her bag and making it through security without any hiccups, Maya treated herself to a coffee and a magazine. She flipped through the pages, daydreaming about how she'd decorate her new office once she made partner. When boarding time approached, Maya gathered her things and walked confidently to gate B-17. She could already imagine settling into her comfortable first-class seat, enjoying a pre-flight drink, and reviewing her notes one final time before landing. "Good afternoon," she said to the gate agent, a man with tired eyes and a forced smile. "I'm here for the 2:15 to San Francisco." The gate agent tapped at his keyboard, his brow furrowing slightly. Name: Maya Lin. More typing, then a pause. "I'm sorry, Ms. Lin, but it seems there's an issue with your reservation." Maya's heart skipped a beat. "What kind of issue?" "I have a confirmed first-class ticket. I booked it months ago." The agent's eyes darted to the long line forming behind Maya. "I'm afraid your seat has been reassigned due to operational needs. The flight is overbooked." "Overbooked? But I have a confirmed reservation. I checked in online last night." Maya pulled out her phone, showing him the confirmation email and boarding pass. "I understand, but sometimes we have to make adjustments for operational requirements," he repeated, his voice mechanical. "We can offer you a seat on tomorrow morning's flight." Maya felt her face getting hot. "Tomorrow? That's impossible. I have an important meeting today. This partnership depends on me being there." The gate agent's expression didn't change. "I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Those are our options at this time." Around them, other passengers were boarding, giving Maya curious or impatient glances. Through the large windows, she could see the plane waiting on the tarmac, her seat, her rightful seat, about to be given to someone else. "Let me speak to your supervisor," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. 20 minutes later, after being passed between 3 different airline employees, the answer remained the same. Despite her reservation, despite arriving early, despite her pleas about the importance of this trip, Maya was not getting on that plane. As a final insult, she noticed a late-arriving passenger being warmly welcomed and escorted onto the aircraft, a man in an expensive suit who seemed familiar with the crew. Maya stood at the window, watching helplessly as her flight taxied away. With each minute that passed, her chance at partnership slipped further from reach. She tried calling her boss, but the meeting couldn't be rescheduled. The clients were only in town for one day, and her colleague Robert would have to handle the presentation instead. As she dragged her suitcase back through the terminal, Maya felt a mix of emotions: disappointment, anger, and something else: determination. This wasn't just about a missed flight or even a missed opportunity. There was something wrong with how she'd been treated, something that didn't add up. Back at home, while Robert was probably shaking hands on her deal in San Francisco, Maya opened her laptop. Instead of wallowing in what she'd lost, she began researching passenger rights. What she discovered would set her on a path she never expected, one that would eventually lead her not just to take her seat back, but to take on an entire airline. The partnership opportunity had slipped through Maya's fingers like sand, but her determination only grew stronger with each passing day. She couldn't shake the feeling that what had happened to her wasn't just bad luck, there was something more going on. On a rainy Tuesday evening, Maya sat in her apartment surrounded by takeout containers and her laptop. Instead of binging her favorite show, she found herself diving deep into Sky High Airlines customer reviews. The patterns she discovered made her sit up straight. This can't be a coincidence. she whispered to herself as she scrolled through page after page of similar complaints. There was the businesswoman who missed her daughter's graduation after being bumped from her flight despite having a confirmed reservation. The elderly Asian couple who was separated and placed in middle seats at the back of the plane even though they had paid for premium seats together. The young black doctor who was bumped 3 times in 6 months while traveling to medical conferences. Maya started a spreadsheet, organizing the complaints by date, location, passenger details, and the airline's response. After 2 weeks of late nights, the data told a disturbing story. Passengers who were women, elderly, or people of color were being bumped at rates far higher than other travelers, especially when flights were overbooked. Curious if others had noticed this pattern, Maya created a post in a travel forum, "Bumped from sky-high flight despite confirmation," looking to connect with others who've had similar experiences. Her inbox exploded overnight. "I thought it was just me," wrote one woman. "They told me I was late for check-in, but I have time-stamped photos proving I was there 2 hours early." Another message read, "They claimed computer error when they gave away my seat, but I watched them give it to someone who arrived after me." Maya began organizing video calls with these passengers, listening to their stories and adding to her growing pile of evidence. During one such call, she met Priya, a tech expert who had been collecting her own data. "Look at this," Priya said, sharing her screen during their chat. "I've been tracking who gets bumped and who gets upgraded on my regular route. There's a clear pattern of certain passengers always getting preferential treatment." Together, they dug deeper and discovered something odd. Many of the passengers who seemed to benefit from last-minute seats or upgrades had connections to airline executives or board members. Some were business associates, others were from the same exclusive clubs or social circles. Maya remembered the man in the expensive suit who had boarded her flight while she was left behind. A quick social media search confirmed her suspicion. He was golfing buddies with Sky High's regional director. Armed with growing evidence, Maya created a private online group called Grounded Truth for people who had experienced similar treatment. Within a month, the group had over 300 members from across the country, all sharing documentation, photos, and stories. "This isn't just poor customer service," Maya explained during one of their virtual meetings. "This looks like a deliberate policy. They're calculating who they can get away with mistreating." One older member of the group, a retired flight attendant named Lai, provided crucial insider information. "It's the algorithm," she told them. "The new booking system they implemented 2 years ago isn't random. It ranks passengers using factors that have nothing to do with when they booked or how much they paid." Maya spent a weekend reading through Sky High's publicly available terms of service and contracts of carriage. Most passengers never read these documents, but as a lawyer, she spotted the loopholes the airline had created to justify their practices. The more Maya uncovered, the more her initial anger transformed into purpose. This wasn't just about her missed opportunity anymore. It was about a systematic problem affecting thousands of passengers who didn't have the resources or knowledge to fight back. "We need to take this further," she told the group during their biggest meeting yet. "I think we have enough evidence to show this isn't just bad business, it's discrimination." As Maya looked at the faces on her screen, people from different backgrounds all united by their experiences, she knew this was just the beginning. The next step would be approaching the airline directly, giving them a chance to make things right before she took more serious action. What she didn't know was just how dismissive Sky High would be, or how that dismissal would spark something much bigger than any of them had imagined. Maya believed in doing things the right way. Before taking any drastic steps, she decided to give Sky High Airlines a chance to fix their mistakes. Armed with her research and evidence from her growing online community, she began the process of seeking a fair resolution. Her first step was sending a detailed complaint to Sky High's customer service department. She carefully outlined what had happened to her, included her booking confirmation, and requested appropriate compensation for her missed business opportunity. 3 weeks passed before she received a response, a generic email that barely acknowledged her specific situation. "We value your business and apologize for any inconvenience. Here's a $50 voucher for your next flight with us." Maya stared at her screen in disbelief. $50? Her missed partnership opportunity had cost her thousands, not to mention the emotional toll. Undeterred, she tried a more official route. She filed a formal complaint with the Department of Transportation, documenting the discrimination patterns she had uncovered. The response came back a month later. "We have noted your concerns and have forwarded them to the airline for their internal review." "This isn't working," Maya told her online group during their weekly video call. "They're just giving us the runaround." "Try calling their corporate headquarters directly," suggested Pryor. "Ask to speak with someone in leadership." Maya spent the next week navigating Skyhigh's complex phone system, being transferred from department to department, leaving messages that went unreturned. Finally, after mentioning that she was a lawyer and was considering further action, she received a call from a woman who identified herself as an assistant to the regional manager. "Mr. Reynolds can meet with you next Tuesday at 10 a.m., the assistant said. "He has 30 minutes available." The Skyhigh regional office was located in a gleaming skyscraper downtown. Maya arrived 15 minutes early, dressed in her most professional outfit. The receptionist directed her to a small conference room where she waited, her folder of evidence neatly arranged before her. At 10:20, a man in an expensive suit finally entered, not bothering to apologize for his lateness. "I'm Thomas Reynolds. I understand you have some complaints about our service." Maya explained her situation calmly and professionally, then shared some of the data she had collected showing the pattern of discrimination. Reynolds barely glanced at her documents. "Ms. Lin, overbooking is a standard industry practice. Sometimes we have to make adjustments based on operational needs." "But the pattern of who gets bumped," Maya began, "is completely random and in accordance with our contract of carriage," he interrupted. "Which, if you'd read it, clearly states we reserve the right to deny boarding when necessary." Maya took a deep breath. "I have read it. I'm a corporate attorney, and what your airline is doing goes beyond standard overbooking practices." For the first time, Reynolds looked slightly uncomfortable. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out an envelope. "We value all our customers, Ms. Lin. As a goodwill gesture, I'm authorized to offer you this $300 flight voucher and our sincere apologies." Maya looked at the envelope but didn't take it. $300 for a missed career opportunity and what appears to be systematic discrimination. Reynolds' professional smile never wavered. "Take it or leave it." And between us, he leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice. "Next time, maybe arrive at the airport a bit earlier if your flight is so important." Maya felt her face flush with anger. They both knew she had arrived 3 hours early. This was a deliberate attempt to shift blame onto her. "This meeting is over," she said, gathering her documents. "And just so you know, this isn't about my missed flight anymore." As she walked out of the building into the bright afternoon sunlight, Maya's phone buzzed with messages from her group members, eager to hear how the meeting had gone. "They offered $300 and blamed me for not arriving early enough," she typed back. "They're not taking this seriously at all." The responses came quickly. "That's outrageous. What do we do now? We can't let them get away with this." Maya paused before the glass doors of the subway entrance, the determination hardening inside her. The airline had their chance to do the right thing, and they'd chosen arrogance instead. "Time for Plan B," she wrote back. "Let me talk to some of my legal colleagues." This just became a much bigger fight. The rejection from Skyhigh Airlines lit a fire in Maya. That night, she spread her research across her dining table and began to think like the corporate attorney she was. This wasn't just about one bumped flight anymore. This was about justice for thousands of passengers. "If they won't listen to reason, maybe they'll listen to the law," she said to herself, pouring another cup of coffee despite the late hour. Maya spent the next few days reaching out to former law school classmates who specialized in different areas: consumer protection, civil rights, class action lawsuits. Each conversation added another piece to the puzzle of how to take on a corporation as powerful as Skyhigh. Her friend Raj, who worked at a prestigious civil rights firm, invited her to lunch to discuss the case. "What you're describing isn't just poor customer service," Raj said, looking through her spreadsheets. "If your data is accurate, this could be systematic discrimination based on protected characteristics. That's illegal, no matter what their contract of carriage says." "Exactly," Maya said, excitement in her voice. "But the challenge is proving it. They'll claim their algorithm is proprietary and refuse to share it." Raj smiled. That's where discovery comes in. If we file a lawsuit, they'd be legally required to provide that information. Over bowls of noodles, they sketched out a legal strategy. The key would be finding the algorithm's weakness, the exact factors it used to decide who stayed on flights and who got bumped. Maya went back to her online group with renewed energy. We need to dig deeper, she told them. Anyone who works in tech or data science, I need your help analyzing the patterns we've collected. A small team formed within the group, 3 software engineers, a data analyst, and Maya. For weeks, they worked evenings and weekends, creating a model that could predict which passengers were most likely to be bumped based on the hundreds of cases they documented. Look at this, said Ming, one of the engineers, during a late-night video call. When we run the simulation, passengers with non-Western names are 78% more likely to be bumped, women traveling alone 63% more likely, and elderly passengers 54% more likely. And here's the smoking gun, added Priya, sharing her screen. We cross-referenced the passengers who got preferential treatment. Over 80% have connections to sky-high executives, board members, or major business partners. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. This isn't just bad business. This is deliberate discrimination hiding behind an algorithm. With this evidence in hand, Maya contacted Zoe Williams, a well-known attorney who had successfully taken on other corporate giants. After reviewing Maya's research, Zoe agreed to meet. The law offices were intimidating, all glass and steel with views of the city skyline. Maya clutched her folder of evidence as she waited in the reception area, going over her presentation in her mind. Zoe turned out to be a straight-talking woman in her 50s who didn't waste time on small talk. Show me what you've got, she said, gesturing to Maya's folder. For the next hour, Maya laid out everything, her personal experience, the data from hundreds of affected passengers, the algorithm analysis, and the pattern of connections benefiting from preferential treatment. When she finished, Zoe was silent for a long moment. You understand what you're suggesting, right? That one of the largest airlines in the country has been using technology to systematically discriminate while creating plausible deniability. Maya nodded. That's exactly what I'm saying. And you're willing to be the face of this fight. It could get ugly. They'll dig into your past, try to discredit you, maybe even threaten your career. I'm ready, Maya said, her voice firm. Someone needs to stand up to them. Zoe leaned back in her chair, a slow smile spreading across her face. Then let's make history. This won't be a simple lawsuit. It needs to be a class action representing everyone who's been wronged by Sky High. As they shook hands, Maya felt both terrified and exhilarated. She had started this journey just wanting her seat on a plane. Now she was preparing to take on an entire airline in court. That evening, as Maya updated her online group about the new partnership with Zoe, the excitement was palpable. People who had felt powerless against a corporate giant suddenly saw hope for justice. This isn't just about getting compensation, Maya told them. It's about changing the system so this never happens to anyone else. Maya knew that winning in the courtroom wasn't enough. Public opinion could make or break their case against Sky High Airlines. While Zoe prepared the legal documents, Maya focused on telling their story to the world. We need to get people talking about this, she told her online group during their weekly call. Not just the people who've been bumped from flights, but everyone who cares about fairness. Lai, the retired flight attendant, nodded in agreement. The airline is counting on people staying quiet because they feel powerless. We need to show them they're not alone. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. Around 3 a.m., she sat up in bed with an idea. She created a simple hashtag #GroundedBiskyHigh. By morning, she had written a powerful post about her experience and the pattern they had uncovered, ending with a call for others to share their stories. Here goes nothing, she whispered, pressing the share button. She didn't expect what happened next. By lunchtime, her post had been shared over 1,000 times. By dinner, the hashtag was trending. People from across the country began posting their own experiences with Sky High. Bumped from my flight to my dad's funeral, even though I booked months in advance. #GroundedBiskyHigh. Paid for first class, got moved to middle seat in the back, watched a late arrival take my seat. #GroundedBiskyHigh. Third time being bumped in 2 years while traveling for medical treatment. Starting to think it's not a coincidence. #GroundedBiskyHigh. Maya's phone wouldn't stop buzzing with notifications. News outlets began reaching out for interviews. A popular travel blogger with millions of followers picked up the story, sharing it with a detailed breakdown of the evidence Maya's group had collected. "This is incredible," Priya told Maya during a quick phone call. "People are finally listening." Sky High's response came swiftly but backfired spectacularly. Their PR team released a statement claiming Maya was an entitled passenger who arrived late and is now seeking attention. They even suggested she had created fake accounts to post made-up stories. Maya was prepared. She had kept the security camera footage from the airport showing her arrival 3 hours before departure. She released it along with a calm response. "Sky High would rather attack me personally than address the real issue. This isn't about me, it's about all of us." The video went viral. News anchors played it alongside Sky High's statement, pointing out the obvious lie. Celebrity travelers began weighing in, some sharing their own negative experiences with the airline. Within 48 hours of Sky High's statement, their stock price had dropped 15%. Shareholders began asking uncomfortable questions about the company's boarding practices and treatment of customers. Ming, watching all this unfold, called Maya, "You know what this reminds me of? When that passenger got dragged off that other airline's flight years ago. The company lost billions in market value because they handled it so badly." "The difference is," Maya replied, "that was one incident. We're showing this is happening every day to hundreds of people." The pressure kept building. A financial news network invited Maya for an interview, where the host asked pointed questions about Sky High's algorithm and discrimination patterns. Maya was calm and prepared, speaking in simple terms anyone could understand. When an airline says a flight is overbooked, they're making choices about who stays and who goes. Our evidence shows these aren't random choices. They're based on who you are, what you look like, or who you know. Halfway through the interview, breaking news flashed across the screen. Sky High's CEO had called an emergency press conference for later that day. "Looks like they're finally taking this seriously," the host commented. Maya smiled. "They should have taken it seriously when I first contacted their customer service." After the interview, Maya's phone rang. It was Zoe. "I just got a call from Sky High's attorneys," Zoe said, excitement in her voice. "They want to talk settlement before we file the class action." "What did you tell them?" Maya asked. "I told them it's too late for a quick and quiet resolution. We're filing tomorrow, and they'll have to answer for their actions in court." As Maya hung up, she looked at her laptop screen, where #GroundedBiscayHigh continued to trend. What had started as one person standing up for herself had become a movement that had caught the attention of an entire nation. The airline had chosen the wrong passenger to bump from that flight to San Francisco. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters on the day Maya and Zoe filed the class action lawsuit. Cameras flashed as they walked up, surrounded by dozens of other passengers who had joined the case. People held small signs with the now famous #GroundedBiscayHigh. "Today, we're taking a stand not just for ourselves, but for everyone who has been unfairly treated by this airline," Maya told the gathered press. "This case is about holding powerful companies accountable when they put profit over people." The official court filing included over 5,000 plaintiffs from across the country. Each person had a story of being bumped from flights despite confirmed reservations, many losing important opportunities or missing significant life events as a result. Sky High's high-powered legal team immediately filed a motion to dismiss the case. "These are isolated incidents being blown out of proportion," their lead attorney argued before the judge. "Airlines have the legal right to oversell flights and manage their boarding processes as needed." For 3 tense days, both sides presented their initial arguments. Maya sat beside Zoe at the plaintiff's table, watching the airline's attorneys try to poke holes in their case. On the 4th day, the judge delivered her ruling. "There is sufficient evidence to proceed with this case. The motion to dismiss is denied." The courtroom erupted in whispers. One of Sky High's attorneys leaned over to another, not realizing his microphone was still on. "This is going to be a problem." The discovery phase began, where both sides were required to share evidence. This was what Maya and Zoe had been waiting for. Access to Sky High's internal documents about their boarding algorithm and policies. "They're fighting us on everything," Zoe told Maya after a particularly difficult day. They're claiming their algorithm is a trade secret and can't be revealed. They're stalling, Maya replied. But we have something they don't. Thousands of real people with real stories. And time is on our side. As the weeks passed, cracks began to appear in Sky-High's defense. A former IT employee contacted Maya's team anonymously, providing screenshots of internal emails discussing the algorithm. Make sure the system prioritizes our Platinum members and partner company executives. One email from a senior vice president read, "If we need to bump someone, focus on the low-value passengers who won't cause problems." When this evidence was presented in court, Sky-High's attorneys looked visibly uncomfortable. The judge ordered them to turn over the complete algorithm code for review by independent experts. The turning point came during the deposition of Sky-High's chief operating officer, a man named Richard Wilson. Under Zoe's skilled questioning, he became increasingly defensive. "Mr. Wilson, were you aware that your boarding algorithm specifically flagged certain types of names as lower priority?" Zoe asked. "That's not exactly how it works," he stammered. "Let me be more specific," Zoe continued, showing him the internal documents. "Your system assigned lower priority scores to passengers with non-Western names. Yes or no?" After a long pause, he answered, "It was one of many factors considered." The courtroom fell silent. That admission alone was devastating to their defense. As the trial date approached, Sky-High made their first settlement offer, $2 million to be divided among all plaintiffs if they would drop the case and sign non-disclosure agreements. Maya and Zoe brought the offer to the group. "That's less than $400 per person," one plaintiff pointed out. "After what they did to us. And the non-disclosure agreement means we couldn't tell anyone what happened," added another. "They'd get away with it and keep doing the same thing." The group unanimously rejected the offer. Sky-High came back with larger offers, $5 million, then $10 million. Each time, Maya reminded the group, this isn't just about money. It's about changing how they operate. Finally, the trial began. The courtroom was packed every day as witnesses shared their experiences. Technical experts explained how the algorithm worked, showing clear patterns of discrimination. Former Sky-High employees testified about the company culture that valued certain passengers over others. On the stand, Maya was calm and composed as she told her story. "I didn't start this fight because I missed one meeting," she explained. "I started it because I realized thousands of people were being treated unfairly and nobody was standing up for them." Sky-High's attorneys tried to paint her as an opportunist looking for a payday, but the questions only made her more sympathetic to the jury. After 3 weeks of testimony, the case went to the jury. As they filed out to begin deliberations, Maya found herself holding her breath. "No matter what happens," Zoe whispered, "you've already won. You've exposed their practices to the world." But Maya knew the real victory would be forcing Sky-High to change. And for that, they needed the jury on their side. The courthouse hallway felt too small for the crowd that had gathered. After 3 days of jury deliberations, word spread that a verdict had been reached. Maya sat on a bench, trying to calm her racing heart as people filed back into the courtroom. "No matter what happens today," she told the plaintiffs gathered around her, "we've already won by exposing what they did. They can't hide anymore." The jury filed in, their faces unreadable. The judge called for order as the room fell silent. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" the judge asked. "We have, Your Honor," the jury foreperson replied, standing with a sheet of paper. Maya reached for Zoe's hand as the foreperson began to read. "In the case of Lin and others versus Sky-High Airlines, we find in favor of the plaintiffs." The courtroom erupted in gasps and whispers. Maya felt like she couldn't breathe. "We award actual damages in the amount of $200 million to be distributed among the class members." People around Maya began to hug each other, but the foreperson wasn't finished. "And we award punitive damages in the amount of $1 billion to send a clear message that using technology to discriminate against customers will not be tolerated." This time, the courtroom couldn't be silenced. Cheers broke out as the judge banged her gavel, calling for order. Photographers captured the moment as Maya and Zoe embraced, tears streaming down their faces. Outside, reporters thrust microphones toward Maya. "This isn't just about money," she told them, her voice steady despite her emotions. This is about changing how companies treat people. No algorithm should decide someone's worth based on their name or appearance or background. The verdict made headlines around the world. #Grounded Biscayne wins historic victory, bled one news site. Airline algorithm discrimination costs company $1.2 billion, read another. Sky-High stock plummeted further. Within days, the board of directors called an emergency meeting. By the end of the week, they announced major changes. The CEO and several top executives were stepping down immediately. "We accept the jury's decision," the new interim CEO stated at a press conference. "Sky-High failed our customers, and we are committed to rebuilding trust through fundamental changes to our practices." Maya watched the announcement from her apartment, surrounded by members of her original online group who had traveled to be there for the verdict. They cheered as the interim CEO continued. "As part of our commitment to change, we are completely redesigning our booking system with transparency as the core principle. And we're establishing a passenger advocacy office to ensure fair treatment for everyone who flies with us." What happened next took everyone by surprise. 2 days later, Maya received a call from a number she didn't recognize. "Ms. Lin, this is Patricia Chen, the new chairperson of Sky-High's board of directors. We've been following your case closely, and I have an unusual request. Would you be willing to meet with us?" Curious, Maya agreed. The meeting was set for the following Monday at Sky-High's headquarters. When she arrived, she was escorted to the boardroom where a group of serious-looking people waited. "Ms. Lin," Patricia began, "we've made a decision as a board. We don't just need to change our policies, we need to change our culture. We'd like to offer you a position as Sky-High's first chief passenger advocate." Maya was speechless. "Your job would be to rebuild our passenger relations from the ground up, with full authority to implement whatever changes you think necessary. No one knows better than you what needs to be fixed." Maya thought about it for a long moment before responding. "I'll consider it, but I have conditions. I would need complete independence. And I want a team that includes people who were affected by your old policies." "Done," Patricia agreed. Within a year, Sky-High transformed. Under Maya's leadership, the airline created the industry's most transparent booking system. They eliminated overbooking on most routes and developed fair, clear policies for the few routes where it was still necessary. Most importantly, they trained all staff to treat every passenger with respect, regardless of who they were. Other airlines took notice. As Sky-High's customer satisfaction scores rose to the top of the industry, competitors began adopting similar practices. Government regulators used the case to develop new rules requiring algorithmic transparency for all airlines. On the anniversary of her bumped flight, Maya stood at the gate for that same San Francisco route. Now, as passengers boarded, they often recognized her and smiled or thanked her. "You changed everything," one elderly woman told her. "Now I fly without worry." As Maya watched the plane take off, she reflected on how one moment of injustice had sparked a movement larger than she ever imagined. She hadn't just gotten her seat back, she had transformed an entire industry, making travel more fair for everyone. Sometimes the most powerful changes begin with one person who refuses to stay grounded.